Good morning students and welcome to our YouTube channel Gnan Manjari Modern School. In the previous video we are just going through the chapter number 6, that is our earth and the moon. Okay students, in that we have seen up to this shadow. We have just seen the some part of the shadow in detail. We are just going in this video. Okay students, let us go inside. So here in the shadow we have seen what is shadow. Here you know the earth and the other planets move around the sun in a fixed orbit. The sun is a huge glowing mass of a gaseous material. It is the source of light for the earth and the moon. You know how day and night are caused by the earth's rotation. We have day when our part of the earth faces the sun and night when it away from the sun. Okay. Then after here, light has the capacity to pass through some things, but there are other things through which light cannot pass. So let us write. Here it is shadow. Then after objects. Object through which light can pass. Light can pass, such as glass, are called transparent. Are called transparent. Okay students. Then after it is translucent. So what is translucent? That is objects through which light can pass partially are translucent. Such as frosted glass. Okay. Then after opaque objects through which light cannot pass. Light cannot pass are called opaque. Okay, are called opaque. The example, that is tree. Okay, the thing which just blocks the light, that is known as the opaque. Here let us see again what is transparent and what is translucent and what is opaque. Here objects through which light can pass, such glass are called the transparent. Means from which the light can pass is known as the transparent object. Then after here it is translucent, objects through which light can pass partially, means not all the light can pass. but only partially light can pass is known as the translucent. Then after here it is objects through which light cannot pass are called opaque. Objects through which the light cannot pass means from this board marker also the light cannot pass, from this marker also it cannot be passed, and from duster also it cannot be passed. Okay, so these are the opaque objects. Okay, then after moving further you can see here, I am just reading it again. Objects through which light can pass such as glass are called transparent. Objects through which light can pass partially are translucent such as frosted glass. Objects through which light cannot pass are called the opaque. A tree is an opaque. It blocks the light of the sun from the ground below it. As the light is blocked, that part of the ground looks dark. It is in shadow. We say the shadow of the tree falls there. And here there is transparent object, translucent object and opaque object. Okay, here when you stand in the sun, your shadow falls on the ground. Thus, when light is blocked by an opaque body, a shadow is cast on the surface behind the body. Light and an opaque body are required for a shadow to be formed. The size of the shadow depends upon the following: the height of the source of light, the distance of the source of light from the opaque body. Okay, this both it is dependent. Means how the shadow is formed when the light is just given to the opaque object. When the light is given to the opaque object, then after what happens? It just forms a shadow. You can see my shadow over here on the board. You can see, yes, on the back hand side here you can see the shadow. Why? Because my hand and my body is an opaque object. So what will happen? The light when comes, then it will forms a shadow. Okay students, moving further, and you can see here the sharpness of the shadow depends upon the intensity of the light, that is, how bright or dull it is. First of all, how the shadow is depend. The shadow is depend upon the sharpness of the source light, that how much the light is emitted from it. Okay. Then after that, how bright or how dull it is depend on. Then with these points in mind, you will realize why our shadow differs in size. Early in the morning, the sun is low on horizontal in the east. Your shadow will be long in the west. At midday, when the sun is overheaded, your shadow will be just around your feet, and hence it will be small. In evening, at sunset, when the sun is in the west, your shadow will be long in the east. At other times of the day, the shadow keeps moving depending on the angle of the sunlight. Okay. Here, what is said that the shadow is dependent upon the source. Okay. Shadow is dependent upon the source. You know that in the morning, your shadow, the sun rises from the east and sets at the west. So what happens in the early morning, your shadow will be in the west, and in the evening time the sun will be on the west side and your shadow will be on the east side. In daytime it will differ according to the angle of the sun, and the midday the sun will be at above. So what happens? Your shadow will be on the feet, around your feet only. Okay students. Here, time can be calculated by means of the length of the shadows formed by the sun. In olden days, before clock were invented, people used sundials. The sundials consist of a circular board with the hours marked on it. The center is a triangular plate placed vertically. The slanting edge of this plate is parallel to the axis of the earth. As the earth rotates, the shadow of the plate moves around the dial, shows the time. Here you can see the sundial is given from that. In the years before, what happens, they just used to know the time. Okay, so sundial, if it can be asked that what is the use of sundial, then you have to write it was used in the olden days to know the time. Okay, and it will it have a vertically slant. You can see the edge in which the when the sun is there, then it will just have a shadow, and that much time is there. Okay students, moving further. Okay, then coming towards eclipses. Eclipses are formed because opaque bodies have the property of casting shadow. The earth revolves around the sun, the moon travels with the earth, revolving around the earth. Once in a while, when it happens, the sun, the moon, and the earth comes in one straight line. This was when the ellipses are formed. Okay students, here there are two: solar ellipses and lunar ellipses. Let us see that. But before that, what is how the ellipses are formed? Let us write. Ellipses are formed because opaque body have the property of casting shadows okay. This is formed why? Because the opaque bodies have property of casting shadows. Okay, first of all we will see the solar eclipse, that is sometimes on a new moon day, that is Amavasya. The moon comes between the earth and the sun. It casts its shadow on the earth, or we say that the moon blocks the sun's light from reaching some parts of the earth. People in this part cannot see the part of the sun blocked by the moon. This is called the solar eclipses. The moon hides the sun from our view when it comes between the earth and the sun. Okay, solar eclipse do not occur every new moon day, but only twice a year or so. Total solar eclipse, when the sun is completely hidden by the moon, are very rare. Here, what happens? See here, I am just drawing a figure. Here is the sun. Okay, this is the sun. This is the earth. And we know that moon just revolves around the earth, that is here, that is the moon. Here it is the moon. So what happens? We know that the moon just revolves around the sun. So what happens in the here so what happens over here? When the rays of the sun, the light of the sun, and when these three come in the straight line, and this will happen, what? First it will be sun, and from in the middle of the sun and the earth, when moon comes, then solar eclipse is there. Why? Because you can see, we cannot see moon. The sun. The sun is hidden by the moon because it comes in between. So here you can see, I am reading it again. Sometimes on a new moon day, the moon comes between the earth and the sun. It casts its shadow of the earth, or we can say the moon blocks the sunlight from reaching some parts of the earth. People in this part cannot see the part of the sun blocked by the moon. Then this is called the solar eclipse. The moon hides the sun from our view when it comes between the earth and the sun. Solar eclipse do not occur every new moon day, but only twice a year. So the total eclipse when the sun is completely hidden by the moon are very rare. Students, moving further to the lunar eclipse. So what is lunar eclipse? Let us see that. So in the lunar eclipse, what happens? In the lunar eclipse, here is the moon. You can see it properly. Yes, you can see it. So here we know that moon just revolves around the earth. So in the lunar eclipse, here you can see, in the lunar eclipse, so this happens in the lunar eclipse. The earth comes in between the moon and the sun. Students, see here I am just reading the description which is given over here. That is, the moon has no light of its own. It reflects the light of the sun. We see the part of the moon that is lit up the sun's light during the revolution of the earth around the sun and the moon around the earth. It sometimes happens that the earth comes between the sun and the moon. The earth is an opaque body. It blocks the sunlight. The earth's shadow falls on the moon. We call this a lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse occurs on a full moon day, but not on every full moon day. Here, what happens? it just occurs on the full moon day, and the solar eclipse occur on the Amavasya, that is okay, on new moon day. Then after what happens, the earth is an opaque body, so it will just hold the light and its shadow will fall on the moon, okay. And in solar eclipse what happens, the moon's shadow fall on the earth, which just completely hide the sun to reach sun's light reach to the earth. It will only fall the shadow of the moon. And in the lunar eclipse, the earth's shadow will fall on the moon, and it is on what? It is on the full moon day it occurs, but it is not in every full moon day. It will just occur in the rare time only. Okay students, so here we have just completed our chapter. So let us see what we have seen today. So here first of all we have seen the transparent, translucent and the opaque body. What is transparent body? Transparent body means from which all the lights can pass, that is transparent body. Then after second thing, that is translucent, from which the partially lights can only pass, that is translucent. Thirdly, that was opaque. Due to opaque objects, the shadow is formed, that we have seen. What is opaque object? It will not allow light to pass through it, that is the opaque object. And then after we have seen how the our shadows are there at morning, in the midday and in the evening. These three we have seen with the picture it is given, okay. And then after we have seen the sundial. So what is sundial? In the olden days the sundial was used for what? It is used for the time knowing, for the known of the time. So what happens? They just put the sundial in the open ground, and just due to the the shadow, we can olden people just know the time, okay. And then after we have seen that was eclipse, that is solar and the lunar. So solar, so in the solar what happens, the moon comes in between the sun and the earth, and in the lunar the earth comes in between the sun and the moon, and this is formed due to the shadow, okay. This earth and the moon are completely opaque objects, so what happens, they will not allow light to pass through it. So this eclipse happens, and it happens not on every Amavasya or every full moon day, but it happens in a year twice or thrice, okay students. So in your homework what you just do is, answers of exercise, find out answers of exercise. Okay students, we will meet in the next video. Bye students.